Welcome back, everybody, to RacePlazaMedia podcast. Let me start this over. Welcome back, everybody, to the RacePlazaMedia podcast, episode 25. My name is Milan.
My name is Pia.
And today we're going to talk about the F1 race in Baku. We're going to talk a little bit about my European Truck Racing Championship. You also watched the finale for
the Super Motocross World Championship.
Exactly. And then we have a few news things that we're going to go over. So let's get right into it.
Yes.
I think it is fair to say that this was one of the craziest qualifying sessions we've had in F1.
I mean, it literally broke a record. So yes.
Fortunately, this is what happens when I watch qualifying. Okay, this is why I don't want to ruin it for everybody. But yeah, essentially, it was twice as long.
Yes.
As a regular session, which is usually about an hour.
A little bit over an hour. Yeah.
This time we had 6 red flags.
Yes. World record of 6 red flags during a single qualifying session. I mean, it was constantly interrupted, and so it didn't really feel like it was like going with the flow. We had a lot of people. Of course, Baku is a street circuit. It's very tight. It has the narrowest section in the entire season.
7.6 meters.
Is it? Oh, that's the width of it?
That's the width of it.
Okay, that's crazy.
It's when they're going between that castle.
Yes. No. I know exactly which section it is.
The chicane. I just wanted to point it out for the listeners.
So it's very tight. There's very little runoff areas. This weekend it was also incredibly windy, which of course the cars are very sensitive to those kinds of conditions there. We also had a little bit of drizzle towards the later part of the qualifying sessions. But I mean, it just started off immediately. I think the first person that got into the wall was Alex Albon, if I'm not mistaken. And then it just started like a domino effect.
Yes, it says right here that Esteban Ocon had 0 laps. So I don't know if it's 0 laps because he got disqualified.
Yes.
I think they didn't count any of his laps.
Yeah, I think they were all just canceled out because he ended up getting disqualified due to technical things because he had like something on his, I think, rear wing that wasn't okayed. So he ended up getting disqualified. But I don't really think he lost that many positions because he was out in Q1. So it changed a little bit things maybe for him, but it was not like world shattering, dare I say.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's of course always unfortunate when that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you said, he started now on the back marker instead of, I don't know, 1918. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So we had Albon go into the wall. Gasly went into he went into the runoff area, and then Colapinto went into the wall. I'm not saying it in the correct order. I'm just saying what I remember. Then we had Nico Hülkenberg got into the wall. Ollie Bearman got into the wall.
Yes. So sorry, before we rush over that, the good thing with Nico and hitting the wall is that he was able to recover and they were able to put on a new front wing. Unfortunately, it didn't make a difference. In the end, he still didn't make it out of Q1, but it was kind of like the worst case and the best case and a worst case situation. With Gasly, also actually really, again, he was able to kind of save it by going into that little cul-de-sac there.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't crash into a wall. He just went long.
He even had it better, but then Colapinto, probably the worst thing, that it was already red flagged.
Yes.
And then you crash into a wall right next to your teammate when we already know that there's so much pressure on you and there's so much happening behind the scenes for Alpine. It's just not a good look, This is like really, especially when your teammate who's better and has a secure seat is making mistakes like this. This is when you kind of need to capitalize on that. But we even had someone who fumbled a bag, I think, a little bit bigger in that regard this weekend. I will say, I think my little bit biggest upset was Lewis not making out of Q2. It was a little bit unfortunate because the way that Ferrari does it, that they switch off every race, and essentially the driver gets to decide if they want to go first or second. I think that can help depending on the track. And in this track, it was Charles had to go first and Lewis got to go second, which can kind of like punch a hole in for him to get slipstream. Unfortunately, when they left for the track in Q2, Charles didn't make it around the first corner. That meant then it also Lewis had to cancel his lap for double yellow. And then when he came out the second time around, he wasn't able to kind of put a lap together, and then he qualified in 12th. That was really heartbreaking because but this was I know exactly this was gonna fucking happen. Sorry for cursing, but I'm a little annoyed because it's like, oh, Ferrari is dominating FP1 and FP2 and they're finishing 1 and 2 and all this stuff, and then the race comes around and we're not fucking competitive. And it's a song as old as
time
or 15 years or something like that.
No, it's so true. And then going into Q3, we had two major upsets. We had first Charles Leclerc goes into the wall. He was already pushing it during Q2. He was so close. He had touched the wall already, just like lightly. So going into Q3, he ended up going into the wall fully. So he ended up DNFing. Then shortly after him, we had Oscar Piastri go into the wall, which was a big upset. And then, of course, there was this whole thing of like, oh, this is the time for Lando Norris to make up. To really like end up in the front row as he has done most of the races, and then really capitalize on Oscar's poor qualifying result. But then it was just also, I think it was a combination of
I wouldn't fault Lando as much for
no,
this.
I'm not saying that.
I know that you weren't going to, but I know online the discourse is obviously, there's a lot of tension around this anyways.
Yes.
Because people say that McLaren are have a preferential treatment towards Lando. I can't really speak on that because I know we had this papaya rules last weekend, but if both drivers are saying that, then in the end, like,
I think it's just Oscar's maybe a little bit more well liked, or maybe there's a little bit more opposing views on Lando. Like, people either really like Lando or they hate on him.
It is very interesting how the pendulum swings. Like last year, Lando couldn't probably stop catching praises. Because he was one of the few people who were putting up a fight against Max. And I know people were criticizing him. And then this year, Oscar really coming into his own. It's I mean, the whole papaya rule, I'm gonna get into that in a little bit. But he wasn't able to really
so
make the most out of that.
What they were trying to do is, like, after Oscar had caused another red flag, they brought out Lando, the first one out once there was green flagged again, just to give him an opportunity to get a good time on the board in case there was another red flag, just because of past experience for the qualifying. So he was the first one out, which is in theory not a bad idea, but then it just started, or the track was just a little bit of wet. I mean, we had Antonelli complaining about all the white lines from like the actual street felt like ice because of the water. It was so slippery.
It's like the paint, right, with the water.
Exactly. So it was, and then so Lando was out first, so he was the first one essentially to test the limits of it. And then he was also the one to maybe clear off some water off of some of the track.
Drying it with the heat of his car,
exactly.
Right?
So then his time, it seemed like a good time, but then it's just everybody after him, just like better times and better times. So he ended up qualifying in 7th, which is in a way a big upset, just because normally they qualify first or second row, and then now both of the McLarens are further back. So Oscar, because he DNF'd second in Q3, ended up qualifying in 9th, and then Lando in 7th.
Yeah, I think this is really, again, more of a fumble from like McLaren than it was from Lando. I will also say I think McLaren is also in this place where they're quite lucky that there's no other team that is as competitive, because I think with some of the calls that they've made, and we've seen this last year as well, where it was just like calls where I'm like, no, this is not what a championship winning team should be doing. But I think the top 3 is a very exciting result.
Yes, for sure. I mean, we had in first place qualifying is Max Verstappen, which was not a huge surprise, but happy for him. But then in second place, it's not the first time for him on the front row, but the first time in this car or with this team.
And for the first time for a long time for this team.
Exactly. In the Williams, Carlos Sainz qualified in second, which was also, he had put the time on quite early before he actually had that time out before Oscar had DNF'd. So his time on the board was on there for a while, and the only person who was able to out-qualify him was, of course, Max Verstappen.
It was almost by half a second too, which is quite crazy.
And then, but Max also was the last one, I think, on the track.
I can't remember.
Yeah. And then in third place, we have Liam Lawson. Also, the first time his full season, of course, he's had a lot of ups and downs this season coming from Red Bull now to Racing Bulls. He's had some clashes with some of the incidents, with the other riders. But very exciting to see him qualifying in the second row next to Kimi Antonelli.
The reason why I'm wearing this shirt today, because I know that a lot of people online, at least, are very tough on Kimi because he's had a tough stretches of racing.
Like a middle part of the
season. I think it's also this thing is, well, he had those 3 DNFs that were not his fault, right? And that stumbles then into 2 races where you might not be performing.
Yeah.
And then you have cars, people who are rookies who are in more backmarker cars than outperforming you.
Yeah.
I get it, but Kimi is the boy, and I am... Sorry. I am here for you. I believe in you, and I know you will. If there's going to be a Mercedes champion, it will be Kimi.
You heard it here. Probably not first, but you've definitely heard it here.
And then also, I think it's really awesome. So you said Russell in 5th, and then I think a really cool is also that Yuki 6th. It's showing that whatever changes they're doing in Red Bull is helping him.
Yes,
I think he's getting better. I will say, I think that the rumor is that Hajar will be taking that Red Bull seat.
Yeah.
And if Lauren Mackey is able to make that car drivable for 2 drivers, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think Yuki is a combination of being really unlucky.
Yes.
Getting into a car at the time where it wasn't drivable. But I think it's also this thing where it's like, you unfortunately had your time, and then if I had to pick between Liam and Yuki, I think like most people, I would go with Liam
for like keeping a seat in the Racing Bulls, and then maybe another rookie will.
Yeah, I don't know how it's
them.
looking for F2 right now.
Yeah,
with, the Red Bull driver.
I know there was. I think it's Paul Aaron is one of the people that is being considered for the Racing Bull seat. There's also a rookie being considered for one of the Alpine seats to replace Colapinto, but nothing has been officially announced yet.
I know that there's also talk that there might be Jack maybe getting another opportunity and stuff like that.
I haven't heard that yet,
but
we'll see. I mean, I mean, I agree. It's I feel like it's a curse for many F1 drivers. I mean, we were talking about it when we were watching the race. It's so shitty sometimes. There's so many good F2 drivers. Very few make it into F1. Even previous F2 champions have not even given the opportunity of a seat.
Well, one specifically, it feels almost like you're being singled out. It's everyone else, and not even all of those people who made it are F1 champions, and I am F2 champion, and I don't get my chance.
Yeah, we're talking about Felipe Drogovic specifically. He's a Aston Martin reserve driver right now,
and as long as Lance is taking up that spot, right.
It hurts, but then it's also like this whole story of F1. We had so many drivers going through like the F1 Red Bull seat just too early. It wasn't the right time. Then they switched teams, and then it's like you never know. Of course, I mean Alonso has a history of moving to the wrong team at the wrong time, so it's just you never know.
Yeah, I mean his contract has not been renewed yet for Aston, right? He's up for a contract renewal. Isn't the second Aston seat open?
I don't know for sure, not off the top of my head.
I mean, I'm hoping that he's able to keep it, because now that they have Adrian Newey, I am hoping that next year they will be able to do something with the car.
I hope so. I thought he was going to be. I thought he was in it for next year for sure.
Is he? Okay, I hope so.
Yeah, but I'm not 100% certain. But
I mean, it's Alonso. He probably finagle his way into a different car. He'll drive until he hits that 5-0.
Oh, 100%.
Listen, I know that people joke about it all the time, but as long as he's competitive.
Yeah, and he is. He is competitive.
He is still competitive. I'm like, have at it. The moment you're not competitive anymore, I'm like, get out of here. And he's also not taking up anyone's seat. Yeah. In my opinion.
I mean, if anybody is taking up somebody's seat, it would maybe be
Lance.
I mean,
I yelled at him.
He's been like, he has sometimes really good races, but he just seems so impassionate about it. Also, like, it seems like
he's a lucky motherfucker. That's what he is. Because a lot of the races where he ends up ahead of Alonso has been incredibly unlucky this year. But then it's also like, then you got lucky by the safety car. And I get that's how the pendulum swings. But I don't want the pendulum to swing like that for you. I hope I never meet him because, or he's not gonna ever listen to this. But
no, but let's be honest. But anyway, so let's get into the race. So we were going into the race. We were like, the race is going to go one of two ways. And I think a lot of people thought this. Either it's going to be the most boring race because everybody's going to be on their most best behavior. Of course, Baku being a street race, there's really just two overtaking areas for the most part. But then on the other
DRS zones.
Yeah, exactly. But on the other hand, it could also be a repeat of qualifying and just be red flag after red flag or safety car after safety car, depending on really how people behave. But I feel like the track record is usually, it would be, people are more on their good behavior, especially it's also we're getting towards the end of the season. Every single point matters. There's a lot of competition still in both the driver and the manufacturer championship, aside from first place, of course. So yeah, but then then the race was like,
the race, yeah. So we had obviously Oscar for the very first time this week. He broke his own streak that he had, which was like 34, 36 consecutive races attended and finished without DNFing. So he broke his own streak by, unfortunately, just a big fumble this weekend. Let's be real.
Yeah.
For people who are saying like, oh, is this where we see Oscar cracking? I think he will shake it off, and in 2 weeks when we're back, he will be back to his form, how it is. I don't think this is a thing where we're gonna have to paint the devil on the wall.
Yeah.
I think I mean, I know that Lando also got a little bit unlucky with strategy.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing that we're talking about is, because we haven't even mentioned it, is there were really two things. Yeah. First, he jumped the start, which also caused...
There's three things, technically. He jumped the start, then he stalled, the anti-stall came on.
Oh, yes, which I don't know if it's a reaction to it. But anyways, he jumped the start, then he had the anti-stall. But when he jumped the start, it also caused Fernando Alonso behind him to jump the start because he just saw somebody move, so he just went for it. And he also later apologized to the team. He was like, that's my fault. I saw Oscar go, so I wanted to go.
Yeah.
But Oscar was just early. He was
way early.
He was like ahead of the line, like by like half the car. He had to stop, then anti-stalled, then ended up at the back of the pack. Then I forgot which corner it was, he just crashed into the wall, and then that was first lap.
Yeah.
Because he said he underestimated the dirty air. He ended up having, I think, a
He's
lockup
like,
in the front
I'm
left.
I'm used to racing in the front now. I cannot see that well from the back. So when I started in 9th, I couldn't see the lights that well. So that's why I started in 9th. He didn't say any of that. Very unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, in a way, I think some people said it, like, get it out of your system in one weekend and then just come back. But
Exactly.
I don't think this is the thing where it's like, oh, Oscar is cracking, whatever. I think it is. I mean, of course, it is having essentially 4 big mistakes or 4 mistakes in one weekend is not ideal. However, clearly also his championship contender wasn't really able to capitalize that much on it.
Which worked out in his favor, for sure.
In a way, it worked out in his favor. I know that Lando got a little bit unlucky with strategy, but it's also... It is when we're in this era of DRS. It is... Luckily,
it's our last year in that era. So this race really made me excited again about next season to see not only the regulation changes, but also the changes with not the DRS, but the, what's it called? Mom? Yeah, isn't that the abbreviation for it?
Moto overtake?
Something.
Like
I know. I thought the abbreviation was
or something like that.
Mom. I was like, move over, motherfucker.
I like that.
But so with the new overtaking or like
whatever
push system that they're implementing for next season. So I'm looking forward to it so we don't have these DRS trains.
Yeah.
I was also raging today because for the first half of the race, they only showed the distance to the leader. And I'm like, guys,
you're like, I don't want to do math.
I don't want to do the math. Just show me the intervals because the distance to the leader, I think, really doesn't matter.
I think a lot of times it's just it becomes irrelevant, especially in the era of DRC where it is important to know what the different DRC.
I don't know what DRC is. You were missing DC this weekend, so that's why.
This is middle name. I do miss him. I
Yeah.
think it would have been interesting to have him in qualifying to hear his input on that.
Yes, that is very true.
I know that one of the commentators, he was a driver on the grid for like
Oh,
a year.
Geraldine Palmer.
Exactly. But I think like with DC, it would have been interesting to know, because I could imagine that when qualifying is broken up so many times, that it might mess with your rhythm of things. But for the race, I think it was all right.
Yeah.
I
mean, we did have, one more thing. We did have this incident with Albon and Colapinto.
That was super unnecessary by Albon.
Albon, yeah, he crashed into the rear left tire of Colapinto and spun him out. It was really, there was no way that overtake was on.
It's not a common overtaking place.
Yes, one, that, and then two, there was not the space. He would have never made the corner anyways. It was like this little kind of chicane area. So he spun out Colapinto, hurting Colapinto's race yet again. I mean, this time it was not his fault at all. I mean, not that the Alpine was very competitive this weekend. Neither Colapinto nor Pierre Gasly. But then it also hurt just Albon. He got a 10-second penalty for it. Alonso had also gotten a 5-second penalty for his jump start, which of course was not ideal either. We had, at the very beginning, we had a little bump between Nico Hülkenberg and Ocon, but that one was not even, there was no repercussions. It was racing. Nobody got hurt. Or neither car was damaged. I mean, neither car ended up in the points anyways. And so it was really just, there was this like really big, not big DRS train, but this constant DRS train that involved Norris, Charles Leclerc, Yuki Tsunoda, Lawson. So that was like the thing that we've watched most of the time. But you even mentioned it. At one point, the commentators were just like chit-chatting in a way, because there was literally nothing else going on. The one thing I was also upset about because there was this moment where Sainz was still competing for second place, and then George Russell was going into the pits, and it was really tight whether or not George will end up coming out ahead of Carlos or behind. And then I was like, there's nothing else going on, and they wouldn't show Russell's pit on the big screen.
Eventually, towards the end of it, when he pulled out, that's when they had it on the small screen. But it is like nothing else. And this is the probably most exciting thing, because we have a Williams fighting for P2, which, I mean, I will say their Mercedes pit box did show up, and then Russell came out on a fresher tire, and he then ended up having like a 1.3 second gap. And the only way Carlos would have been able to overtake in that place if he would have had that DRS. If he doesn't come out to maybe catch him in that second DRS zone. But then also George being in the faster car and also on a fresher tire, he would have probably been able to get them, because on the long DRS, the first DRS zone, the only way you're going to be able to make that overtake stick is if you're within a second or maybe 6/10 of the person
I was going to say 6/10 or less.
6/10 or less.
Because otherwise it is an extremely long straight. You have the opportunity of DRS and then slipstream, but you still need to be within like half a second to be able to make that overtake. And then you have that turn, and then right after it goes into the other DRS zone, which is the other overtaking opportunity, the most common overtaking opportunity.
Because also for the long straight, it doesn't happen at the beginning. The DRS zone starts a little bit later. If it would be maybe further ahead, then you could talk about it, but not in that case. So I think one thing I wanted to mention, Lewis did finish ahead of Charles because there was team orders. Charles had to let Lewis by because he was on the fresher medium tire. Lewis was able to catch up to Lando, but then there was a DRS train behind Liam. So Liam had Yuki behind him in DRS, and Liam was defending for his life. And he did a fantastic job.
Excellent job.
He kept Yuki at all times within DRS, but outside of that 6/10. So Yuki was never able to make that overtake. That meant that Lando, who had DRS on Yuki, wasn't able to make that overtake. And then Lewis, who had DRS on Lando, was not able to make that overtake. At the end, they were supposed to switch positions, but Lewis kind of lifted off too late. And so that's why you can see there was just like 4/10 between and not the 2 seconds anymore. However, Charles said he didn't care. Lewis, I think he apologized in his post-race, but it was also like, it's fucking irrelevant because we're talking about 8th and 9th.
Yes.
This is not the standard for Ferrari, so who cares?
Yes. No, 100%. And then the last person to earn points was Isaac Hadjar. I think he had like a decent race there. He had some trouble at the beginning. And then later on he had better pace. But like, yeah, there's only so little you can do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an okay race. Congratulations to Max. He was thrilled. Carlos Sainz was like, this has been one of the best experiences for him. It's a huge thing, you know. It's like his first podium with Williams. It's the first podium in a long time. He's been having such a tough season.
He actually said, I think, at the beginning, did you read that?
What?
That he said at the beginning of the season that it will be a while until we see him on a podium again, but he believes in a project of Williams. And I actually believe when he says that, and I also believe that if anyone can bring Williams to the front again, is the combination of Carlos and Alex is a very good. Like, I know Alex dropped the ball this weekend, and he said that too.
Yes.
But he was very happy for the team.
Yeah, and he was there at the podium ceremony.
You could see that he was really happy, and he wasn't faking it or anything like that, because this is so important for Williams, and especially for the Constructors' Championship.
And I think didn't Carlos, he earned almost more points in this race alone that he had earned this entire season already. So it's a huge success for him.
I love
it's
that
a
for
huge success for Williams. I mean, just seeing James Vowell smile a little bit once.
Who's been doing phenomenal at Williams.
It's great. I'm so excited. I'm hoping to see a rise of Williams again.
Wouldn't that be awesome if they would be a front-running team?
But then again, I wish that for almost every team. You know, I want people to be successful.
There's several teams where I'm like, you can stay down there. Just kidding, actually. I'm trying to think if there's a team where I'm like, I guess the V-Carb team, I'm like, because you are a junior team, you don't need to finagle in the front that much.
True, but I mean, I would have been so thrilled if Liam Lawson would have been able to end up on the podium.
No, I'm not against this, like, here and there, like a podium or a really good result, but I'm saying, like, if you're gonna be racing in the front, then get in the Red Bull, you know. I'm just bitter Ferrari fan, guys. I'm just bitter.
But then, so now we have another week off.
Honestly, Alpine is the one that I'm like, fuck off with your bullshit. But this has nothing to do with the driver and everything to do with Flavio. I'm like, this motherfucker shouldn't be around.
Yeah, no, it annoys me every time I see him on the screen. I'm like, why are you even in the sport?
Sorry, I wanted to say something real quick about the papaya rules again, right? Because it was also like super annoying to be online.
Yes.
In any F1.
Yes.
What is it, like
Reddit thread
or chats or whatever forums, and because like everyone is keep talking about the papaya rules, and it's like, I cannot wait until we're over when this is not a term anymore, and when we talk about, remember when that was a thing, because it's so fucking annoying. And in a way, and I said this before and I'm saying this again, my heart aches for me complaining about how aggressive Max is, because at least there is some type of aggression and wanting to, instead of like, it just, for me, right? It just, both drivers are so passive, and it just seems like, and Lando saying, I didn't, like, it didn't really feel like I missed out in qualifying. It's like, yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Stop. Maybe he's saying these things to protect himself from the inevitable that he might not become world champion, right?
Yeah.
And I get this, but it's this thing where it's like, Max would never say that.
No, and it's also like, let's be honest, it was a huge opportunity.
It was.
Like, your biggest rival ended up crashing out in qualifying. So this was your opportunity to get on the front row, to hopefully make up a bunch of points. So now he only made up 6 points.
Yes.
You know? And that's like It's
literally twice the best case scenario happened for you. Your title rifle crashed in qualifying Q3, which is, you would have probably preferred it in Q1. Let's be real. But then you crash out into a race. Yeah. And you still only finished 7th. And I get that it was also a part of strategy and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you cannot fucking tell me that we're all should be okay with this. No. Like, I'm glad I'm not a McLaren fan, because goddamn, you guys are pushing me into getting a Red Bull shirt. I will, because honestly,
I have a Red Bull jacket already, to be fair, which was a gift.
Is that a Red Bull? Or is that a Racing Bulls? I thought it was Racing Bulls, because I thought it's the color scheme.
It is the color scheme, but I thought it said Red Bull Racing on it. So
I stand corrected.
It
We already
was a
have one
gift.
in
I
the
didn't
house.
buy it. I wouldn't put money into it.
We
but I will
already have
still
it in the
wear it.
house. Because, like, I know I was really sometimes hard on Max in some of the things that he wasn't doing, but goddamn, do I miss a proper championship fight.
Yeah, no, I mean, we still have a fight, but it seems a little bit more tiptoey, and I don't love that either. But we still have races to go, so we'll see if it changes. Piastri is currently still leading by 25 points, and then behind Norris is Max Verstappen. He is 44 points behind Lando Norris. So, I mean, Max is still in the competition.
Yeah, technically, but it's
Technically,
but
but
this is like the math just saying like
yes,
a lot would have happened to McLaren and
exactly.
he would have to
And then in theory, McLaren could have taken the manufacturer championship this weekend. They didn't quite, so I'm assuming they will take it in the next race in Singapore.
Yeah, because there's like almost 400 points between that. However, this also shows what a abysmal weekend this was for Ferrari, because they now lost a second place in the Constructors' Championship to Mercedes, because Mercedes finished in second and fourth. And what the fuck was Ferrari doing?
Yeah, so there's a 4
8th
point
and 9th.
difference right now. So it's close. So we'll see. There's definitely going to be
Red Bull Racing. Oh, that is they're 272, so they're not that far off.
No.
And this is really Max back must be hurting from carrying the
I know,
team, dude.
seriously.
Goddamn.
Seriously. But anyway, so let's move on.